Hello friends, I Shubham Sharma welcome you all on the KGS IAS YouTube channel, and today we will discuss chapter number 8 of our economic survey. Industry, Next Leap, Structural Transformation and Global Integration. Friends, why this particular chapter is so important? The reason is we all know that India want to become a developed nation by 2047. And to achieve this development status nation, we need to focus a lot on industrial development. And for that, we need to enhance our manufacturing capacity. We also want that the share of manufacturing sector in overall GDP should be around 25 to 30%. Service sector, we are already doing phenomenal job as we had seen in the last chapter. In case if you had missed those chapters, do watch chapter number 1 to chapter number 7. So right now our main focus is on manufacturing and industrial sector development. So in this particular chapter, we will discuss what all are the initiatives government had taken to improve this share. What are the major weaknesses India felt in this manufacturing sector development? Apart from that, what are the areas where India had done a phenomenal growth in this particular segment? So this is extremely important, especially for mains perspective, and even in prelims also a fact-based question or a particular question related to a scheme can be asked. So let's move ahead and discuss this chapter. First of all, let's begin with the introduction of this chapter. So industrial sector in India during financial year 25-26 is not merely recovering from cyclical slowdown, but is undergoing a structural transformation. Now, a prelims question can be asked like what is cyclical, what is business cycle, or what is the cyclical unemployment, or what is this cyclical slowdown? So we have this particular cycle. On above we have boom period, and in the bottom part we have the burst phase, that is the depression phase. In between that, the whole economic cycle rotate. From boom, it will lead to sometime slow economic growth, and then recession, then depression, then recovery, then growth, and then again boom. So in this particular phase of cyclical slowdown, because of it's starting from the COVID times, and right now in context of US Iran Israel war, Russia Ukraine war, Trump tariffs, all this create a kind of cyclical slowdown. So if we talk about the cyclical slowdown, Indian industrial sector had done a structural transformation, and this is extremely important and must be clearly understood. A cyclical recovery refers to short-term improvement driven by demand recovery after slowdown. So this a cyclical recovery refers to short-term improvement driven by demand recovery. Now there is a particular word associated with it that is called as pent-up demand. Especially after COVID time, this pent-up demand has enhanced, and this cyclical recovery refers to short-term improvement because of demand recovery. But Indian economy need a kind of structural transformation, which is referred to long-term changes in the overall industrial sector. Now this structural transformation is very essential. How this structural transformation can be done? The structural transformation can be done when you enhance the manufacturing capacity, when you focus on latest technology, when you focus on upgraded infrastructure, when you focus on the overall skill development, thanks to PLI scheme, thanks to Make in India scheme, thanks to Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. All these led to structural transformation. Now, the survey clearly states that India's industrial momentum is increasingly driven by a shift toward high technology manufacturing. Now, this is a very important phase where we talk about the high technology manufacturing. And that is what we can say, it is quite necessary also for the long term growth. Why this is so essential, long term growth, why this high technology manufacturing is needed? The reason being, if you are not focusing on high technology manufacturing, then in that case it will create a negative impact on long term growth. How? If you are continuously focusing on outdated technology, if you are continuously following those outdated technology, then in short run it may led to negative impact, but also in long run it has a very bad impact on overall economic growth. So this high technology manufacturing means that you should focus on those technology which is upgraded one, which is used in general parlance, and which also enhances the overall production. So high technology manufacturing we are focusing on, and apart from that, this high technology manufacturing will lead to improvement in competitiveness of our export, and that improvement in competitiveness of our export will lead to long term growth. So in earlier decades, countries gained industrial advantage primarily by offering low cost labor, cheap land and basic manufacturing capabilities, but these things were now the things of past. Presently, the whole over the world, they are ready to spend more money, but they focus on few things. First of all, they focus on high end products. That means the product should be of latest technology, that should enhance the production capacity, that should also lead to better service delivery. So this low cost labor, cheap land, basic manufacturing capabilities, now they were the things of past. Present world focuses a lot on high tech manufacturing. So in the current global environment, competitiveness depends on technological depth, innovation capacity and strategic positioning within the global production system. And that's why whole world is seeing India as an alternative country, or what we can say, a country that has the potential to replace China as well. So this is the introduction of this particular chapter. Now, strategic indispensability within global value chain. First of all, you should understand what is the meaning of global value chain. Global value chain means overall supply chain that is related to the supply of raw material, supply of goods, supply of services. All things are related with this global value chain. Now, strategic indispensability within global chain. Strategic indispensability within global value chain means that India should try to become a indispensable country for the whole world. Indispensable country means India should create a specific diversification in its product. India should itself create a niche of its product. Likewise, China, for rare earth minerals, China is considered as an indispensable country. For semiconductors, China is considered as an indispensable right now. So India also try to link themselves as an indispensable country with respect to global value chain. And how this can be happen? ये कैसे possible होगा? This can be happen through PLI scheme. Very important, focusing on 14 industries, 14 sectors, and where the incentives are being given on the basis of incremental sales. The PLI scheme is designed to attract the investment, encourage domestic manufacturing, increase the scale of production, improve competitiveness of Indian products, and it provide incentive based on incremental production. This is very, very important. That PLI scheme provide the incentive based on incremental production means only those firms will get reward which enhance or increase their output. Earlier, what used to happen, a kind of a benefit is given to all type of industries, whether they are increasing the production, whether their exports are increasing or not. So as a result of that, those particular industries or those particular sectors which are performing on a very good level, they feel demotivated that if we are working so much hard, we should get more leverage in comparison to others. That's why this PLI scheme focuses on incremental production, and it wants that only those firms are rewarded which increase their output. So it focuses primarily on electronics, advanced manufacturing and emerging technology sector. The deeper objective is not just production increase but domestic value addition, ensure that India capture a large share of production value rather than just assembling imported component. Presently, if you see the global image of India with respect to manufacturing is that we supply the raw material, or we are doing the packing, assembling and all these things, but now we are focusing ourselves to enhance the production of our goods and services, and also we want to increase our global export share in the whole economy, because to become a developed nation we need to enhance our export share as well. Moving ahead, next is National Manufacturing Mission. So National Manufacturing Mission provide a long-term blueprint for industrial development. What are the core objective of National Manufacturing Mission? To expand manufacturing capacity, promote innovation, strengthen our MSMEs and integrate with global market. The same component, manufacturing capacity, we need to enhance to make it at least 25 to 30% of GDP. Promote innovation, because innovation is the necessity. Innovation is the key to success. Then strengthening MSME, because they are the engine of economic growth, contribute a lot in export, contribute a lot in production process, contribute a lot in employment activities. And then we also need to integrate ourselves with the global market. So the mission emphasizes a transition from technology adoption technology innovation, and it's a critical shift because sustained competitiveness cannot be achieved by merely importing technology. We should try to focus on indigenous innovation capacity, and that is the capability, and that is the reason India focus a lot right now on research and development aspect as well. That is the focus on national, that is the objective of national manufacturing mission. Now, innovative ecosystem strengthening, this is what I'm talking about. And even when I'm taking the classes of economy also, I always say this thing, that India should go away from this culture of freebie given, loan waiving. क्योंकि freebie, loan waiving ये सब temporary relief दे सकते हैं, लेकिन जितना ज्यादा आप इस चीज को promote करोगे उतना ही आपका fiscal deficit बढ़ता है, और ये सब शॉर्ट टर्म तरीके हैं. इफ यू वांट टू ग्रो एंड एक्सेल आउट, if you want to be in the top notch countries, if you want to be the part of that developed world, you need to enhance your expenditure on research and development. And that's why innovative ecosystem strengthening, focusing a lot on Anusandhan National Research Foundation, Research Development and Innovation Fund. These institutions aim to increase R&D spending, encourage private sector participation, and promote the collaboration between the academia and industry. So why it is crucial? It is crucial because innovation is the backbone of high-tech manufacturing. Jitna innovation hoga, jitna zyada you are focusing on high-end products, that's along with continuous upgradation in technology, continuous upgradation in innovative methods, that all will lead to enhance the manufacturing capacity. Moving ahead, infrastructure and logistic. The development status of any country, the development status of any country will depend a lot on infrastructure and logistic part. Now, infrastructure, earlier what used to happen, there is no proper synchronization, no proper coordination between the different ministries associated with infrastructure. But after this PM Gati Shakti master plan, there is a proper synchronization, coordination between different ministries and infrastructure. So between different infrastructure ministries, whether it is roadways, railways, airways, ports, waterways, now there is a systematic coordination and synchronization happen between them. So industrial competitiveness is not determined only by firm level efficiency, but by the surrounding ecosystem. How this will be? Through PM Gati Shakti, through a National Industrial Corridor Program. And this National Industrial Corridor Program, along with PM Gati Shakti, will help us a lot to reduce our logistic cost as well. If in general we talk about the global level logistic cost is around 7 to 8% of GDP, but in India this logistic cost is around 13 to 14% of GDP, and we need to reduce this logistic cost and improve our logistic performance index ranking as well. So aim to improve logistic efficiency, reduce transportation cost, and to enhance the connectivity. This reduce overall production cost and improve global competitiveness. Now, 5 structural pillars this chapter focusing a lot on, or we can say these 5 pillars are the what we can say are the engines of economic growth. So the chapter clearly identifies 5 pillars that will determine India's industrial future. The first is ease of doing business. We all knew this thing, and I think from last 6-7 years, whenever I'm teaching in the class, I'm continuously saying this thing, that ease of doing business is the key to enhance FDI. Right now, where we are struggling a lot in ease of doing business, and now with more transparency, with more ease, with less paperwork and documentation, India had improved this ease of doing business a lot through single window clearances, through less paperwork, less documentation, but with proper accurate measures and enhancing transparency. So R&D and innovation, the more you spend a percentage of GDP on R&D, the more it will have a multiplier effect on the economic growth and development. Skilling and workforce readiness, if you don't have the competitive and committed workforce, the waste is definitely increased. But the more skilling and workforce readiness you have, even you spend more on them, the result will be more in future. Then infrastructure and logistic, obviously scaling up MSME. So these are the 5 particular 5 pillars where India's industry's future depend on. Now in prelims they can ask this question: Might be they'll give all these five and ask which of the following are the pillar, or which of the following is not the pillar, or they will give a random two or three other names and ask which of the following are the part. Now, these are not isolated factor but interconnected elements that together shape industrial competitiveness. Obviously, the more the ease of doing business and the more the better the infrastructure and logistic, they are both connected. R&D depend a lot on skilling and also focusing on enhancing the scale up of MSME. So we should not think them as an isolated factors. We should consider them as a work as those things which themselves which themselves make a complete circle. That's why these particular five pillars are very essential. Now, let's talk about something that is apart from India. What is going on in the overall world regarding to global industrial situation? The global industrial environment in 2025 is characterized by uncertainty and uneven recovery. Many factors, as you all know, I had discussed it many times. So many factors are responsible for it. What are the factors that are responsible for it? Geopolitical tension, obviously, Russia Ukraine war, Iran Israel US war, recently this Trump tariffs and all these things. Inflation, increased production cost because of cost push inflation. Supply chain disruption, and these are the major problems. Although there were some recovery in 2025, the overall outlook remained subdued. Now, global manufacturing. Let's talk about the global manufacturing context. World manufacturing output grew by only 0.7%. Now, see guys, this is where the need of a country that should push this global supply chain. So world manufacturing output grew only by 0.7% in Q3. That means there is lack of supply of things. First issue. There is other aspect also that there is a weak demand in the countries that will also impact the production pattern. So rather than going on with a boom period, economy is again falling with a very slow growth. So world manufacturing output grew by only 0.7% in Q3, indicating weak global momentum. However, this growth is uneven. Now, this is again a major factor, that the growth is uneven across the region. Uneven across the region means why this growth is considered as uneven, why we consider that this particular growth is so uneven. Where Africa show the strongest growth. This is a prelims kind of a fact, that they will ask a question that global manufacturing, in context of global manufacturing, which of the following continents are performing well? Now, in that case, they will give ABCD option: Africa, Europe, Latin America, Asia. So in that case, Africa show the strongest growth, Asia show modest growth, Europe shows stagnation, and Latin America show decline. Friends, this is very important facts. You should remember this thing. So this unevenness indicate fragmentation in global industry recovery. Now, talking about India, in contrast to global slowdown, India continued to remain strong industrial growth, making it one of the fastest growing industrial economy. India is considered as now the fastest growing industrial economy, and this divergence is very important. India is outperforming global trend. This is very, very important. This whole slide is actually very important. This whole slide is very important, where we are saying that the growth is uneven, although Africa shows the strongest growth, Asia show underrate growth, Europe shows stagnation, and Latin America show decline, but India is outperforming global trend. This is very, very important thing. Now, moving towards the other trends, shift toward high-tech manufacturing. One of the important structural trend globally is the shift towards medium and high technology industry. Countries are now focusing towards the medium and high technology industry. Data shown medium technology growth as 1.7%. Medium tech growth is 1.7%. Whereas high tech growth is 1.4% and low tech sector is stagnant. That means this data show a clear indication the world is focusing on high tech manufacturing, and that is the future as well. पूरी दुनिया ये बात जानती है कि फ्यूचर जो है वो पुरानी टेक्नोलॉजी, पुराने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है. चीजें महंगी हो जाए कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, चीजें कॉस्टली हो, चीजें लेकिन टाइमली अवेलेबल होनी चाहिए, सबसे पहली बात. दूसरी चीज, ऐसा प्रोडक्ट होना चाहिए जो कि लॉन्ग टर्म में मल्टीप्लायर इफेक्ट क्रिएट कर दे. सो medium tech growth 1.7, high tech growth is 1.4%, and low tech sector is stagnant. This indicates that the future industrial growth will be driven by technology intensive sector. यानी कि जो भविष्य है वो टेक्नोलॉजी इंटेंसिव सेक्टर पर फोकस करता है. Now, strategic shift in global industry. Countries are now restructuring industrial strategies to reduce dependence on external supply. They focus more on their own units, secure critical supply chain, that they want to be the part of critical supply chain, and that's why this concept of friend shoring is becoming very popular right now. They don't want to be the part of this multilateral world. They just focus on few countries where they will get the raw material on time, where their products have a good demand, whether as a result of that they need to just synchronize with those countries who are contributing a lot in their overall economic development. That's why the world is now focusing more on having, rather than having the big groups, they want to create 3-4 small countries group, then build resilience, that their economy should stand still even when there is a kind of a problem happen. So this is the move from efficiency driven globalization and resilience driven globalization. So core global insight, earlier model cost advantage plus global integration, that's what I'm talking about. But new model technology plus resilience plus strategic positioning. पहले ऐसा होता था कि पूरी दुनिया सोचती थी हम 10, 15, 20 कंट्रीज का ग्रुप बना लें. अब ऐसा नहीं. अब 3 या 4 कंट्रीज का ग्रुप होगा जहां से रॉ मटेरियल प्रॉपर्ली सप्लाई हो जाए, जहां पे कंट्रीज आपस में एक दूसरे को हेल्प करें रॉ मटेरियल लेने में और अपने प्रोडक्ट्स का, अपने एक्सपोर्ट्स का डाइवर्सिफिकेशन करने में. दिस इज द प्रेजेंट वर्ल्ड सिनेरियो. Now, India's domestic industrial performance. Let's move to that India's part now. Industrial GVA growth. India's industrial sector show clear recovery. India's industrial sector show clear recovery. Financial year 2024-25, 5.9%. Financial year 2025-26, first half 7%. This indicates strengthening of industrial momentum. That means the industrial momentum of India is strengthening. Manufacturing growth, if we talk about in context of GVA, quarter 1 7.72, quarter 2 9.13. This acceleration reflects underlying structural strength. That shows that manufacturing performance and domestic industrial performance keep on improving. Now, the next is technology transformation in India. How this technology transformation play an important role. Now, this is again very, very important because as I mentioned before as well, that change in technology play a huge role in the present world, and countries are focusing a lot on this technological transformation now. So share of high tech manufacturing, that is medium and high tech industries, now account for 46.3% of total manufacturing value added. That simply means whole over the world and India also focusing a lot on this high tech manufacturing. India is moving away from low tech manufacturing and entering through the advanced production stage. Drivers of this shift are PLI scheme, that's backbone of the manufacturing sector, semiconductor mission, electronic manufacturing expansion, pharma and chemical sector growth. So India is also focusing on from moving towards this low and medium industry to high tech industry by focusing on specifically through this 4 schemes: PLI scheme, semiconductor mission, electronic manufacturing expansion, pharma and chemical sector growth. So India's ranking in competitive industrial performance improved. Now this is prelims fact. As I mentioned you this thing, that in mains topics also you will get this these prelims kind of statements as well. So India's ranking in competitive industrial performance improved from 40 to 37. This indicate improved global competitiveness, and that is the key also for the overall success, because the more competitive your goods are, the more their demands enhance, and as a result of that your overall trade deficit will actually fall. So that's why India focusing a lot on competitiveness of its products, and that's why we are promoting ease of doing business, single window clearances, and now we are transforming ourselves from low tech products to high tech products. Then purchasing manager index. This is again very important when we talk about the prelims part. It talk about that in comparison to something before, what is the change happen in your economy in the present sense? It include manufacturing of goods and services both. So PMI is a composite indicator based on survey of purchasing manager in manufacturing firm. It include goods and services both, as I mentioned. So key rule, PMI if it is more than 50, it talk about expansion, and PMI if it is less than 50, it means contraction. So India's PMI has consistently remained in mid to high 50s range, indicating strong and sustained expansion in manufacturing activity. So that simply means that India's overall purchasing manager index will remain in the mid of high 50 range. And how it increases, because with the increase in new order, improvement in production level, improved service delivery, rising employment. Now, what kind of question can be asked in prelims from this purchasing manager index? Purchasing manager index talk about the improvement, or that is improvement or expansion in the manufacturing sector regarding to goods and services. So if PMI is above than 50, more than 50, it talk about expansion, and if PMI is less than 50, it talk about contraction. Then India's PMI, why India's PMI has increased? Because of new orders, high production level, improved service delivery, and rising employment. And if the PMI indicator is moving on a positive side, that is more than 50, it shows that industrial momentum is keep on going, confidence among the firms, and positive demand outlook. This is a topic that can be asked in prelims as well. Now, RBI's business expectation index. Business expectation index of RBI capture the expectation of firms regarding output, employment, and financial condition. Now, this is again a prelims kind of question, that what is the business expectation index of RBI? What are the components of it? So it focus on output, it focus on employment, and it focus on financial condition. So benchmark is, if it is more than 100, it shows the sign of optimism. So India's BEI has remained above 100 consistently, showing that firm expect higher production, more investment, and better profitability. So the economy, if it is business expectation index is going towards more than 100, that shows that the virtuous cycle is rotating in a proper sense. That simply means demand is more, production is more, employment is more, income is more, saving is more, investment is more, capital formation is more, and it all enhances the GDP part, which enhances actual profit. So RBI's business expectation index is above 100, more than 100, let's say. Then industrial credit and financing structure. Now, this is the major what I can say major lag when we talk about the manufacturing sector. Many times it had been said that industrial finance, availability of fund, availability of credit is very less, but now India is gradually shifting from this part and try to focus more on this industrial credit. And not only the companies are depending a lot on banks, but they are now also issuing the corporate bonds like commercial papers and all these things for fundraising. So their overall dependence on commercial bank is now reducing, and they are trying to raise funds through their own means. So credit is important because industrial expansion require investment in machinery, working capital, and infrastructure. For sure, we all know this fact, why money is needed by the firms just for their expansion. That is, they want to invest that money in their machinery, their working capital needs, infrastructure needs. That's why they want money. So credit flow determine whether firms can scale operation. If we talk about the trend in bank credit, industrial credit growth in financial year 2024 is 9.39%, and in financial year 2025 it is 8.24%. At first glance this look like a slowdown, but that's what I'm talking about. See, firms get incentive only, just a second. At first glance this look like a slowdown, but when we talk about in general when we talk about it, the firms are now raising funds. Firms are now raising funds through commercial paper that is issued by the firms. Minimum maturity is 7 days, maximum is 365 days, commercial paper, and it is issued by those companies who's having good credit rating. It is in the multiples of 5 lakh. They also issue corporate bond. They also issue corporate bonds. So this doesn't, don't get confused that the industrial credit growth is falling. That means the fund is not available. Fund is available, but now they are focusing more on raising funds through the issuing of commercial paper or through issuing the corporate bond, and reduces their dependency on banks. So commercial paper is very important. It's a money market instrument, usually have a maturity of 7 days minimum, maximum 365 days. Companies who are having a good credit rating can issue this. Apart from that, it is in the multiples of 5 lakh. It can be easily endorsed as well. So that's why commercial paper and corporate bond is a tool through which they are raising the firm. Now, now they are raising the money. Now, friends, PLI scheme. This scheme is extremely important when we talk about prelims, when we talk about mains. PLI scheme has a huge weightage. So what is this PLI schemes? Firms get incentives only if they produce more. This is the best thing about this scheme. Earlier, as I mentioned before also, earlier what used to happen, firms raise fund when whatever they are producing, so it doesn't distinguish between the companies or between the firms, that if suppose X firm is doing very hard work and they are producing a lot of goods and those goods are exporting a lot, and in the next cycle they are producing more, they should be get more incentives. But earlier what used to be happen, it's a kind of equal funds being given. So as a result of that, those firms who work hard and those firms whose production increasing, they are not getting that much of rewards. That's why PLI scheme focus on that the firms get incentive only if they produce more. So why it is needed? India's manufacturing faced low scale problem, high import, weak global competitiveness. So now incentive is given on incremental production. So the more you increase your production in comparison to the previous time, the more incentives you will get. So this ensure output expansion, performance based reward. It also enhancing the manufacturing share in GDP. It reduce import dependence, boost export, and integrate India into global value chain. If I'll say this thing, that presently which scheme is pushing the manufacturing sector a lot or help us to realize the target of 25 to 30% of GDP for manufacturing sector, because this is very much essential to become a developed nation, this is the scheme which is which is needed, and that's the which is the scheme that is needed, and this is the scheme where India need to put a lot of efforts and money to promote this sector. Moving ahead, key success mechanism. PLI work through scale creation. Large scale production reduces the cost. Global integration. Firms integrate into global value chain. Technology transfer. Foreign firms bring advanced technology. So that's why PLI scheme is success depends on these three factors. First of all, large scale production. Second, integration, global integration, that is they are integrating themselves with global value chain, and technology transfer, foreign firms bring advanced technology. So what are the positives of that? Electronic exports enhance, and now smartphone manufacturing, India is leading that particular segment. Then sharp mobile manufacturing, that's also true, and investment inflow also enhances. As I mentioned that the smartphone manufacturing, India is leading. That means we are now in top 3 countries where the smartphone is manufactured. So this is what electronic export, mobile manufacturing, and investment inflow increases. Talking about the next one, that is semiconductor mission. Now why this semiconductor is so important? Presently, China is dominating this semiconductor domain, and India want to dominate this semiconductor mission because we import a lot of this semiconductors from different countries, and especially from China. Now let's take a simple example, silicon. Silicon, what is the property of silicon? It is a better conductor as well as insulator both. That means how much electricity flow we need, we can control that. That's why semiconductor are the brain of modern industry. They are considered as a brain of modern industry, useful in mobile phone, car, defense system, and in artificial intelligence. Countries control semiconductor to secure their supply chain, maintain technological dominance. Now see the problem. India, almost 100% of our import dependency is on semiconductor mission from other countries. So this semiconductor has a multifaceted use. All these mobile phone, this Qualcomm Snapdragon system, this is semiconductor, mobile phones, GPUs. Apart from that, cars, defense system, AI, all these things need this semiconductors. Now, what is the India's semiconductor mission? Objective is to build domestic semiconductor ecosystem. We are focusing to build our domestic semiconductor ecosystem where we try to reduce our import dependency. So the components are creating fabrication plants where these can be manufactured. But the only issue with this semiconductor is it required a lot of fresh water. It also require a lot of gases, a lot of chemicals, and right now India doesn't have those kind of gases, and this much. It required gallons of clean fresh water, so we don't have that much of gases to make these semiconductors. That's why we are right now focusing a lot on assembly and packaging, but now we also want to create fabrication plant, and this fabrication plants are quite expensive. Design ecosystem. Now, what are the challenges? As I mentioned, see, extremely high capital cost. This is the biggest issue. Second, complex technology, because all the gases, all the chemicals needed for it, India doesn't have that. We need to import that. Then long gestation period. Suppose you are depending on, even if you create your fab plants, and then also for chemicals, for gases, you are dependent on some other country, and if they are not supplying the gases or chemicals, then also the gas gestation period enhances. So India's strength, India already strong in chip design and software. Now we are focusing on design plus packaging first and then fabrication. That's what I'm talking about. The fabrication is the second stage. Right now we are focusing, firstly we are focusing more on design plus packaging. Okay, now moving to the next part, that is quality control order, and this is very much essential. Quality control orders are maintaining minimum quality standards issued by the government. Usually what happen, whenever the Indian firms are producing a particular good or services, they whenever they are even when they are being used in India, if they are not meeting the standard quality norms, then in that case it may create problem for the end consumer. So now India is focusing on this part, that the quality control order is especially being made for imports as well. That means if we are importing something, we should test that, and we want that the particular product should be of good quality. Otherwise, the end result may be bad experience for the consumers. So India is focusing on quality control orders, and these quality control orders are mandatory quality standards issued by the government. Product must meet these standards, like be sold domestically, be imported. अब इंडिया के साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या हो रहा था, वी आर फेसिंग लो क्वालिटी इंपोर्ट, सब स्टैंडर्ड डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन. तो पहली बात तो वी फोकस दैट वट एवर वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग इट शुड मीट द रिक्वायर्ड क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड, एंड दोज थिंग्स दैट वी आर इंपोर्टिंग दैट शुड ऑल्सो बी ऑफ गुड क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड. Otherwise it will also reduce, tarnish your image in the global world. And if you are importing low quality product, then in that case China dump those products in India. It will damage our own consumers reputation, as well as it also affect them negatively. So improve product quality, protect consumers, and promote domestic manufacturing. So only Bureau of India Standards certified products are now allowed. Then sector-wise credit flow. Let's talk about sector-wise credit flow, how the credit flow is being given on a sector-wise. So high credit growth sector, engineering growth 22%, indicate expansion in capital goods and manufacturing base, and that's a very positive part, that the engineering sector, the growth is 22%. Then wood products growth is 16%, reflect construction and housing demand, and that's again led to massive employment in future. Petroleum growth is 16%, that means energy demand remains strong, and that's why this petroleum products are considered in the are excluded from the CPI inflation as well, because their price is very volatile. Now weak sector, then when we talk about not CPI, core inflation, actually I had said wrong. Petroleum product, energy product, these are excluded from core inflation, not CPI. They are excluded from core inflation. Weak sector, leather industry is struggling right now. Gems and jewelry is not up to that mark. Indicates sector specific challenge like export slowdown and demand issues, because we are, first of all, we are facing good competition, and secondly, because of global slowdown also, the demand for leather and gems and jewelry, India is dominating in this gems and jewelry segment, but right now because of excessive geopolitical issues, these two major sectors of are actually struggling a lot. Then industrial credit and financing structures. Firms are increasingly raising fund through corporate bond. That's what I'm talking about. This is the point. Firms are increasingly raising funds through corporate bond, commercial paper, external financing. This reduces dependence on bank. So non-bank finance growth is around 17.3% of CAGR, and total finance flow is 28.6%. This indicate overall financing is increasing, not decreasing, but they are less dependent on banks. This reflect financial deepening where multiple financing channel exist, risk is diversified, capital allocation become more efficient. Now, core input industries, cement. India is the second largest cement producer in the world. Capacity is 690 million ton. We have a capacity to produce 690 million tons of cement, but we are actually producing only 453 million ton of cement. That means we are not using it we are not producing it. Underproduction is there, what I can say. So industry has unused capacity. India has massive scope for expansion. Talking about the steel industry growth trend, between financial year 2020 to 25, production growth is 10% of CAGR and consumption growth is 12.5% of CAGR. That means we are producing 10% growth of CAGR, whereas consumption growth is 12.5% of CAGR. That means import is more for that. PLI scheme, although we had done PLI scheme for steel, budget 6322 crore, focus is specialty steel. Objective is to move toward high grade steel production. India become a net importer of steel because of cheap import and global oversupply. जो हमारे यहाँ हम प्रोड्यूस करते हैं स्टील, उससे सस्ता हमें इंपोर्ट पे पड़ जाता है, इसीलिए इंपोर्ट हम लोग यहाँ करते हैं. लेकिन पीएलआई स्कीम का फोकस स्टील पर भी है और स्पेशली स्पेशलिटी स्टील के ऊपर ज्यादा है ताकि हाई ग्रेड स्टील प्रोडक्शन हम बना सके. सो स्टील सेक्टर फेसेस द चैलेंजेस लाइक रॉ मटेरियल डिपेंडेंसी प्लस ग्लोबल कॉम्पिटिशन. Then coal industry. Coal contribute 55% of energy mix and 74% electricity generation. Financial year 2025, 1047 million ton record what we had done, but import is now declining by 7.9%. This is a good sign. So domestic production rising faster. India is moving towards energy self-sufficiency, self-reliance, but this is partial right now. We cannot say, and even in the survey and budget also it is mentioned that don't make those promises that we cannot fulfill right now. ठीक है, हमें पता है कि अभी हमारी पॉपुलेशन ज्यादा है, हमारी डिमांड ज्यादा है, तो हमें एनर्जी इंपोर्ट्स, ये कोल इंपोर्ट्स हमें करना ही पड़ेगा. हम ये नहीं कह रहे कि हम पहले दिन पे ही खत्म कर सकते हैं, लेकिन उसका जो इंपोर्ट है उसका परसेंटेज धीरे धीरे कम कर सकते हैं, और ये बात स्पेसिफिकली मेंशन करी गई है कई बार. सो डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन राइजिंग फास्टर, इंडिया इज मूविंग टुवर्ड एनर्जी सेल्फ रिलायंस. Talking about chemicals and petrochemical, chemical industry is the backbone of manufacturing. Chemical industry is the backbone of manufacturing. Strong linkage, contribute 8.1% of manufacturing GVA growth with a CAGR of 2.8%. Chemical and petro is not that being asked. So this is what steel, coal, chemical. This is just to give you an idea, because in UPSC Prelims exam, sometimes they ask a question like ascending, descending order, or lower to higher, or higher to lower. This is what they can ask these questions. So you should know that what all these are. Now, moving towards capital goods sector. Now, this is the sector where the countries are focusing a lot right now, because this capital goods sector will provide them a lot of wealth as well as a lot of employment also. So capital goods sector, the capital goods sector is one of the most critical component of industrial development, because it produces the machinery and equipment that other industries use. That means it provides a base to other industries. In simple terms, it determines the productive capacity of economy. So if capital good production is strong, if a country is producing a lot of capital goods, then the industries can expand, productivity improves, and import dependency reduce. That means the more you produces the capital goods, the more industrial expansion is there. Thus, this sector is directly linked with long-term industrial growth. This particular sector is linked directly with long-term industrial growth. Earlier, India depended heavily on imports for capital goods. Now, there is gradual shift towards domestic manufacturing and indigenous capability. So, capital goods sector is equals to indicator of investment cycle revival. We are focusing on reviving our investment cycle. Talking about the automobile industry with EV transition, the automobile sector is one of the largest contributor to manufacturing output, employment and exports. It has a strong backward linkage with steel, rubber and electronics, and forward linkage with transport and logistics. Obviously, strong backward linkage means steel industry, rubber industry, electronic industry, they supply the components to the automobile sector, and forward linkage means impact of automobile sector in overall transport and logistics. India has become a major exporter of two-wheelers and small cars thanks to the government's support for EV FAME scheme and PLI for auto and ACC batteries. But the challenge is again, battery cost is high, charging infrastructure is still not up to the mark, and technology dependency is again very high. Then electronic manufacturing, this is what I'm talking about. And in mains exam, if suppose they ask you a question on PLI scheme success, you should specifically mention about this electronic manufacturing. So electronic is one of the fastest growing manufacturing sector globally. It is critical because of high value addition, having a huge export potential, and also had a strategic importance. India emerged as a major player in mobile manufacturing and electronic assembly. This is very important point. PLI scheme's impact. PLI scheme boosts the production scale of India. It also enhances our total export, and it also promotes the investment inflow in India. Now, what is the goal? Goal is to design the product, components, designing of components and semiconductor ecosystem, and that's why we had launched the National Semiconductor Mission as well. I hope this part is clear to you, like why we are focusing a lot on this electronic manufacturing also. Pharmaceutical industry. Basically, why India come in so much of limelight because of this pharmaceutical industry, because of their generic medicines. But again, when the European countries feel that this Indian medicines are actually becoming, or what I can say, capturing their market, they're starting that this issue of R&D. They are saying that these generic medicine are not that much research one, that will impact the health of the people. Now India understand this situation, and now India focusing a lot on proper research and development of this pharma industry as well. So global positioning, India is largest supplier of generic medicine and major global exporter. Strength: low cost production, strong manufacturing base, global regulatory approval, and PLI scheme is also made for pharma. Plus bulk drug parks are created so that we should make the good quality medicines, good quality drugs, and that too, that will justify with the health of the people. Textile industry, massive employment generative industry. It is a labor intensive industry, it's export oriented, and it is MSME driven as well. But they are facing a huge competition, especially from Bangladesh. So global demand fluctuation, competition from countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam. Now India is focusing a lot on technical textile currently. Now what is this technical textile? This technical textile is not a kind of textile that is basically a fashion driven or beauty driven. It is a kind of textile that is used for specific purposes, like what I can say, the artificial grass, mosquito nets, badminton court net, fireproof jacket, bulletproof jackets. This is all technical textile. Now India is focusing on this technical textile because the market of this technical textile is huge in developed nations. So India try to produce these technical textile fabrics, what I can say, so that that have a low cost, and that will also diversify our export market. So currently we are focusing a lot on this technical textile segment also, to enhance our overall export, as well as to create a niche in the international market. Then this is what technical textile. Technical textile are textile produced used in industrial application, medical textile, geotextile, defense textile. They have a high value addition, less price competition. That's what I'm talking about, and technology driven. So PLI scheme for textile focus on man-made fiber and technical textile. Now let's talk about infrastructure and logistic part. I mentioned many times that infrastructure is the backbone for the development status of any nation, but the problem with India is that we have this problem of of high logistic cost. We try to reduce this logistic cost by this Gati Shakti master plan, which integrate all the ministries associated with infrastructure. We also tried to improve multimodal logistics. We also tried to improve the hinterland connectivity. That's why this PM Gati Shakti master plan focus on this part to reduce logistic cost to 7 to 8% of GDP. So right now the high logistic cost, that is 14% of GDP, and poor connectivity. So PM Gati Shakti integrate infrastructure planning. The key features are GIS based planning, multimodal connectivity, coordination across the ministries, and that is through creating this industrial corridor. Example, Delhi Mumbai industrial corridor, Chennai Bangalore industrial corridor. This also led to fast movement of goods and services, and as a result of that we should fulfill the demand of our people, and it also boosts FDI in long run. So the purpose of this infrastructure and logistic is to create industrial clusters and improve overall logistic efficiency that will boost our overall infrastructure segment. Then global value chain. Global value chain refers to fragmentation of production process across multiple countries. So instead of producing an entire product in one country, different stages of production are carried out in different locations depending on cost, efficiency, and capability. That's true. Many specific countries are producing specific things. As a result of that, they create their own niche. They create their own production capability. As a result of that, the whole world is dependent on them. Like, I'll give you an example. During the COVID time, China is the major, as you all know, China is the major producer of semiconductor, and because of COVID time, their factories actually have a slowdown effect. As a result of that, whole world is suffering because of that semiconductor import dependency. So right now, if we talk about design, US, component, East Asia, assembly, China, Vietnam, marketing, global level pe. So why India is not yet high in global value chain? We have very limited scale. This is the first problem. Second, we don't have our specific niche. Third is technology gap. We are still using the outdated things. Then logistic inefficiency. This is what I'm talking about. Why FDI is restricted in India, why FDI is not that much in India in comparison to the other world, and why it is slowing down in the present times. The only issue is logistic inefficiency. And apart from that, obviously, lack of ease of doing business. And right now, we are focusing on these problems only. So limited scale, logistic inefficiency, technological gap, and fragmented supply chain. Now we are creating our economic corridors as well. Now we are focusing on reducing this paperwork documentation. Only necessary things should be kept in mind or kept in the process. Apart from that, we are also try to integrate our ministries infrastructure segments also. Right now, we are also focusing on improving this logistic efficiency, fast clearance of goods and services. Okay. So types of GVC participation. Prelims question again. A kind of prelims question. Backward linkage. India is right now focusing on this backward linkage. We need to shift from this backward to forward. Importing intermediate good and assembling them. Example, import chips, assemble mobile phone. India is currently strong here. That's what I'm talking about. Right now, we are strong in this backward linkage. If we want to excel out of, if we want to be in top 5 countries regarding to export, regarding to production process, we need to focus on this forward linkage more. So exporting intermediate good used by others, example export auto component, this reflect higher value addition. So अभी हमारा ये वाला पार्ट तो स्ट्रांग हो गया है, लेकिन अब हमें इसको स्ट्रांग करना है, that is forward linkage. Next, China plus one strategy. See, I don't consider this part that India should become an alternative to China. No, never. We should not become an alternative. We should try to replace China. That is our core objective should be. Whole over the world is right now trying to find out a country who should have the capability to being an alternative to China. But I am saying that we don't need to become an alternative. We should try to replace China. Why? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बिकॉज ऑफ दिस जियोपॉलिटिकल टेंशन, और अभी जो ये हुआ है ना पिछले 1 साल में, चाहे ये ट्रम्प टैरिफ हो या रशिया यूक्रेन के इश्यूज जो चल रहे हों, और अभी हाल फिलहाल में स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मोज वाला जो इशू हो, इससे एक बात तो क्लियर हो गई कि जियोपॉलिटिकल टेंशंस कभी भी किसी भी समय हो सकती हैं और इसका इंपैक्ट पूरी दुनिया को झेलना पड़ेगा. तो यहां पर वही स्ट्रांग है जिसकी इकोनॉमिक पोटेंशियल या तो बहुत मजबूत हो या डिफेंस पोटेंशियल बहुत मजबूत हो. तो अब whole world is facing problem because of this geopolitical tension, supply chain risk. Countries are diversifying away from China, and this create an opportunity for India. How India can become a GVC leader? By increasing their scale. This is the first thing. We should enhance our scale of production. Then we should improve our overall logistics. Third, we should upgrade our technology. And fourth, we should build a supplier form of ecosystem. This should be China plus one strategy. Talking about the MSMEs, very important again, the engines of economic growth, having a high export potential, massive employment creation. So major employment providers, backbone of industrial ecosystem. Why MSMEs cannot scale? This is the first issue. Credit constraints. They are not getting the formal finance. As a result of that, they are depending a lot on informal sources. Dependence on informal credit. That's what I'm talking about. Now now the government is very serious for this MSME. And they are this PM Mudra Yojana, Shishu Kishore Tarun Plus, they're getting loan up to 20 lakh rupees. Then informality. Many firms operate outside formal system, avoid regulation but lose growth opportunities. Then technological gap also, lack of R&D, lack of modern machinery, and market access was also limited. Now the government had specifically started almost 10 to 14 schemes for this MSME sector. एक MSME के लिए बहुत सारी स्कीम्स गवर्नमेंट ने, ट्रेड स्कीम हो गया, सहकार से समृद्धि वाला पार्ट हो गया, उसके अलावा आपका ये क्या बोलते हैं ये जो पीएम विश्वकर्मा इंडस्ट्री हो, पीएम विश्वकर्मा जो है, ये बेसिकली इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट के लिए. देयर आर मेनी स्कीम्स फॉर द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ MSMEs प्रेजेंटली. Export competitiveness, key constraint, that's what I'm talking about. High logistic cost, 13 to 14% of GDP. Globally, it is 8 to 10%. Scale disadvantage, small firms, low production volume. Infrastructure gap, transport inefficiencies there. Port delay, hinterland connectivity is not that strong. Compliance burden is more. So if we talk about in comparison to China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, our competitiveness is still lower. So conclusion, if we conclude this whole chapter, India's industrial structure is at critical turning point, moving from low manufacturing model towards a technology driven globally integrated system. And this transformation is driven by policy reforms, that is through PLI, manufacturing mission, infrastructure development and innovation ecosystem. But the challenges are again MSME constraints, export competitiveness, logistic inefficiency, employment generation. They are the major hurdles still. So the future of India's industry lie in becoming an indispensable part of global value chain and build high value innovation driven manufacturing. This we should focus on. So let's discuss few of the questions related to this particular chapter. Consider the following statement. Integration into global value chain is essential for improving a country's industrial competitiveness. That's true. High logistic cost and supply chain inefficiency reduce countries' ability to participate effectively in global production network. This is true, and this is explaining one also. Improving infrastructure and connectivity can enhance countries' participation in global manufacturing system. All three of them are correct and explaining the one. So both 2 and 3 are correct, and they are explaining statement 1. Because statement 1 can be happen only if statement 2 and statement 3 can be happen. So high logistic cost and supply chain inefficiency reduce countries' ability to participate effectively in global production network. That's true. And how we can correct it? Through improving infrastructure and connectivity. Second, PLI scheme, incentive firm based on incremental production. This is true. National manufacturing mission, promote long-term industrial capacity and innovation. True. PM Gati Shakti, provide direct subsidies. No, they are not providing the subsidies. They are integrating the infrastructure ministries. This is wrong. Only 2 pair are correctly matched. Purchasing Manager Index above 50 indicate expansion. True. Business R-based business expectation index above 100 reflect optimism. True. A fall in PMI necessity indicate long-term structural decline. No, not necessary. A fall in PMI shows that there is a temporary decline in the manufacturing capability because of some issues that can be resolved in future. So a fall in PMI in a one particular year on a one particular segment, that doesn't talk about long-term structural decline. There is a word specifically mentioned necessarily. No, it's not like that. You can improve your performance in the next term. So 1 and 2 only is the right answer. Consider the following statement regarding India's industrial financing structure. Industrial credit growth slowdown necessarily implies a decline in total financing available to firms. No, not necessarily. Industrial credit growth slowdown means now firms maybe shift to corporate bonds or through commercial paper. This is wrong. Firms in India are increasingly relying on non-bank sources such as corporate bond and external financing. True. Financial deepening refers to diversification of funding source and improved capital allocation. True. So 2 and 3 are the right statement. Consider the following statement regarding global value chain. Global value chain involves the distribution of different stages of production across multiple countries. True. India currently has strong presence in forward linkage, exporting intermediate good. No, India has a strong presence in backward linkage. हमें forward की तरफ move करना है, but right now we have a good backward linkage. China plus one strategy reflect a shift toward diversification of supply chain to reduce dependency on single country. True. So 1 and 3 only is the right answer. So friends, this is regarding to this particular chapter. I hope you get a good insight about this chapter. This chapter is extremely essential and very important when we talk about the mains part. If you really like this chapter, mention in the comment, and do share this particular series with your friends who are preparing for civil services, prelims 2026 as well as mains 2026, if they are preparing for this whole year. Thank you and God bless you all.